have always been interested in making a deeper relationship connection with people involved in this advocacy and on within the police bureau. When I was on PCOD, Portland Commission on Disabilities, my liaison was the police department, but I never got a chance to connect with anyone. And so I kind of want to use the time now to help us all build better relationships.
So at the beginning. You need to start at the beginning.
That is my beginning.
Okay. You're not understanding. Go. Go. I'm missing.
Anyways, my helper over here thinks I'm not at the beginning, but I'm at the beginning of my head, and that's where I'm from. So we're meeting tonight in order to accomplish like two different things. One is to try to learn from each other some of the nuances of things we go through in our lives, and the other is to kind of find out what are some of the, things we experience that might be kind of challenging. And then later on, we're going to think about questions that we want to ask officers about their daily activities, because in May, I'd like to host a panel discussion learning from officers what a day as a police officer in Portland looks like. Just an average day, not unusual activities or things of that nature. So maybe we can start building better bonds and having better relationships. So we're going to open the meeting with introductions. I hope that answers everyone's questions. Does anyone have any questions about tonight? I'm going to just stop for a minute and give folks a chance. Okay, pending no questions. You can also put your questions in the chat box. Claudia and Judith are here to help us, but I just really want to take this time to get to know everyone. And so we're going to start with welcome and introductions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And our opening question would be
what is your favorite comfort food?
What is your favorite comfort food? So I'm going to go ahead and start. And my name is Amy Anderson, and I'm the chair of the Behavioral Health Subcommittee. And my favorite comfort food now is spaghetti. Nice spaghetti from a good Italian restaurant. So I'm going to pass it down to Yolanda, and we'll go from there. And then Yolanda can pass it.
Thanks, Amy. My name is Yolanda Saguero, and I'm also part of this subcommittee. And I came up with that question tonight, so I just want folks to feel comfortable here, and it just felt right. So I have probably two comfort foods. One of them is pizza, and then the other one is fried chicken. So I will pass it on to Jared.
Hi, everyone. Jared Hager, U.S. Department of Justice. I'm here in my role as the monitor of the settlement agreement between the United States and the city of Portland. Thanks for having me. My favorite food changes with the season. In wintertime, I really like the comfort food that Indian cuisine offers, curries and whatnot. And I will pass it to Barb.
The two-part process of turning the mic on and turning the video on at the same time. Hi, my name is Barb. I use she, her pronouns. My favorite comfort food also changes with the seasons, I guess. I really like, I think it's tom kha soup with the coconut milk, but I'm not spicy, or ice cream. And I'm going to pass it to Rochelle.
Hi, my name is Rochelle. I'm a psychologist, former member of the Citizen Review Committee and the COAB. And my favorite comfort food is a bagel with lox and cream cheese. And I'll pass it to Trudy.
It looks like Trudy posted in the chat and she said mashed potatoes with gravy from Popeyes. Thank you, Trudy. Let's go with Nathan.
Hi, I don't really have any connection with this group. I was recently appointed to the Training Advisory Council with PPB, so I'm sort of ramping up on everything, reading the settlement agreement. I just went to the PCCEP meeting, or I'm watching it after the fact, from last week. I assume this meeting is public. I found the Zoom link online, so if I'm not supposed to be here, let me know. But my favorite comfort food, I've got a lot of them, but right now it's pizza and donuts. I'm very lucky to live quite close to some donut shops. Also unlucky to live quite close to donut shops.
Thank you, Nathan, for coming. You're more than welcome to attend. This is public meeting and we are an integral part of the settlement agreement. So thanks for coming. Yeah. So who do we got? Mike?
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Myers. I'm the new Community Safety Transition Director for the City of Portland. I'm here also just as a guest, so thanks for allowing me to attend. And my food interests are seasonal as well. I like pizza in the summer, and then in the winter, I enjoy pizza as well. So thanks for having me.
Yes, okay, Chase, you're on.
All right. I'm Chase Bryson. I'm the CIT coordinator for the Police Bureau. And I'll say pho, like lean brisket pho, always hits the spot. And Judith, have you gone yet?
Thanks, Chase. I just have to, so now I'm so hungry for everything everyone has mentioned. But you know, probably fried chicken that I try to stay away from, but that if I really want a comfort food, that's what it is. Yeah, or donuts, the two. And I will call on the lovely Ms. Claudia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia Claudio. I'm the PCCEP director, or sorry, assistant for PCCEP. And sorry, my family's having dinner. I'm trying to be quiet in the other room. But my favorite comfort food is sandwiches. I love sandwiches of all kinds, with a good bag of chips and a lemonade next to it. That's my go-to comfort food.
Oh, thank you all for sharing. Judith, are you going to bring up the value card?
You have them ready, Claudia? I'm not in as a co-host yet. I don't need to be.
Claudia's got it.
I think I need fried chicken, but I don't need to be co-host.
Okay, Barb, here you go.
That's what
Barb is
Yolanda
going to
was
go
gonna-
ahead and
Amy.
what?
Yolanda was going to do that.
Okay. Yolanda, you're up.
Barb, do you want me to do the PCCEP values?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. We just want to remind folks, these are some of the values that we go by. The first one is trust, open-mindedness, assume positive intent, listen with intent, safety to be brave and vulnerable, effective communication, multiple intelligences, different learning styles, don't take things personally, don't make assumptions, do your best, be impeccable to your word, feel comfortable clarifying things with questions, be free to call out bias, step up or step back, wait, be mindful of your level of contribution, passion, compassion, compromise, comfort with ambiguity, integrity, perseverance, self-care, community care, talk to each other, not about each other, and we as a group take care of one another.
Thank you so much for sharing and for reading. Okay, now we're going to move into the next new agenda item for this evening, which is, once again, I'm very much interested and curious to hear what y'all experience during a typical day, either in your work in advocacy or actually in your actual work. And so we're going to fill up a little bit of time kind of getting to know one another a little better. And I'd like to ask everyone to kind of think about what is something that you experienced either in advocacy or at your job that was really exciting for you or really enjoyable. And then the other question would be, what is something you found extremely challenging, whether it was trying to maybe write a new policy or advocate for something for someone? What did you find the most challenging in your particular environment, whether it's job or, you know, advocacy work? Because I believe everyone attends these meetings because they have the heart to serve the people, but we just really don't kind of get to know each other well sometimes. So in order to make this easier, I'm going to lead off. And I work in the criminal justice environment, working with the folks that spend a lot of time having engagements with the police. And so something that's really enjoyable to me that I've seen is having individuals be assisted by the officers. I got to witness something, someone getting, you know, put in an ambulance, taken to the hospital, something I had never experienced. And the two officers that came did such a wonderful job. I was really impressed by the way they handled the what could have been a serious situation. There was kind of violence involved, but they were very experienced in working with folks that have extreme mental health challenges. So that was something I enjoyed visiting or seeing for myself. And something that I find challenging is having more robust conversations with the officers that kind of work in the downtown Chinatown area, because that's where a lot of my people live. And so I'd like to have more, maybe a closer relationship with some of them to know, you know, kind of like we watch out for each other kind of thing. So that's something I find challenging, is not being able to feel comfortable having those open engagements. So that's my experience. So I think, who would like to go next? I'm not going to pass it to anyone. I'm going to offer.
Hey, Amy, Jared just asked a question in the chat. He wanted to know if we could post the agenda for tonight's meeting. And so maybe you can address why it was changed.
Okay, we originally had a discussion.
Michelle, not Jared, just so don't worry about Jared. Go ahead.
We originally were going to have a discussion about the houseless liaison position, what happened to it, where's the work going, who's working on the projects, but we do not have a representative at the table tonight that we felt was going to be able to answer a lot of those questions. So we had to come up with something in a hurry. So I got creative and we modified the agenda in the section that has to do with the liaison position, and that's where we're at right now. So we've changed it, and I decided I'd like to do a little more of get to know you more about your work and your interests, what you like and what you find challenging in the work you do involving advocacy. So I hope that does that explain it? Okay. I have a suggestion from Judith, but I don't want to put, oh, Mike, are you live? Are you on screen? Can you get on screen? Maybe. Hi.
Hello, do you want me to go next?
Well, yeah, yes, because can you maybe give us a little intro about what you do and the kind of work and position? And thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, of course. So some of you may know the city's been talking about transitioning from a public safety based system in the city to a more of a community safety system. And my job is to help that transition along. And I've been in my job now for 4 days. So I started April 1st. On February 2nd, the city had a work session. And during that work session, they kind of outlined a work plan for this new community safety director. And part of that role, I think what would resonate with you all here is to redesign the police response model and redesign the fire response model. And there's some gun violence reduction work in there. So it's kind of hits a pretty broad spectrum of things. A lot of it is back of house stuff, just modern business practices in police and fire. Many big cities our size have all public safety business practices wrapped up into a higher level, kind of an umbrella community safety organization that saves money in the city. So I think, you know, where I'm going to be, I think the challenges we're going to have is, it's been clear to all of us, there's been a lot of talk for years that we don't send the right calls or the right resource to the right need of an individual. I've been in the business for 34 years. I was the fire chief in Las Vegas, in the St. Louis area. Now I was a fire chief here in Portland. And most of my career, I've been working to try to send the right resource to the right call. And we're at the point now, I think, with the right commissioners in place, there's certainly an interest to get this work done over the next couple of years. From fire alone, there's probably 40% of the medical calls that fire goes on that they do not need to go on as a fire unit. American Medical Response can go, calls can be routed to 311, calls can be routed to Portland Street Response. You're going to see a lot more work around telehealth, people communicating from using a digital format, and policing is going to be the same way. But you know, the police chiefs and the fire chiefs are so focused on their day-to-day work, they're so busy, they don't have a chance to really start working on these higher level things that you all are talking about. So that's going to be my job, is to get those things done over the next months to years. And I know it's going to be a big stretch, but in the end, we need to get the right person seeing the people in the street, and we need to have, you know, people that can work, caseworkers, and navigate for these people and get them into places where they're not cycling through emergency rooms. So thank you again for letting me attend, and I appreciate having the opportunity to listen in today.
Amy, you're on mute.
Okay, I need a push button on my finger. Would you like to answer the questions? What do you enjoy, and what do you find challenging?
Well, sure. I mean, I just enjoy the work. I would not have applied. So, I mean, I like having big city issues to deal with. This has been my life since I was 18 years old in public safety. So these have been the challenges that the cities have faced across the country. This is not a Portland issue. The things you are talking about tonight, and that, you know, I've kind of briefed you on, are issues that are facing all big cities across the country. So the challenges are getting it done. If it was easy, it would be done already. We know that there are bottlenecks and challenges, but the timing is right. So what I enjoy is the work, and the challenges of actually getting it done and making the change.
Awesome, thank you. Chase, would you like to go next?
Sure. As far as what I enjoy, and I guess this is kind of a cop-out or is obvious, but like you're asking a question about what you enjoy about advocacy. And I think what I enjoy about my job is that I get to advocate for people. And when I get to spend time helping someone achieve a goal or get to a better place in their life, that's what's really rewarding. So that's what I love about my job, specifically in BHU. but just in the police bureau in general. And challenges, I guess, are related to that. The challenges I have is when we're trying to advocate for someone and you feel like we just keep running into roadblocks. And despite all of our best efforts, and knowing that, like, seeing that there could be a bad outcome coming down the road, but having exhausted all resources and efforts to try to help and not being able to fix the issue. That's one of the most frustrating things and challenging things in my job.
Thank you so much. Forgive me, guys. I'm on call tonight too, so my phone is kind of beeping at me. So I'll be here. Just might not always be attentive. So who would like to go next? Do you want to go?
I guess I will go.
Barb will go next.
So this comes from my heart, and this is what one of the things my best advocacy, one of my best advocacy experiences now was early on. I was asked by somebody from the health center to go to the county budget meeting and talk for her position and try to keep her in her position. And so I had all this stuff prepared to talk about her, and I'm sitting there waiting my turn to be called, and somebody who is almost for sure her boss is totally talking about her and trying to get them to fund this. Sorry, I didn't say who she was. She's a different person than I was asked to come. This person was my trauma counselor. So her boss is there asking for money for her position not to be cut. And when it was, and so then I sat there going, the person I was supposed to see, or the person I think or talk about, or the person I really think is awesome. So I ended up spending my 3-minute split and talking about what a great trauma counselor she was, and just totally putting in a good lived experience word for her. And I found out shortly thereafter that her position was not going to be cut. And there was like some room of people that they announced that one of her clients was there and blah, blah, blah. So I got like a standing ovation, even though I wasn't there, kind of thing, which was really cool. So that's my good one. My bad one is people with lived experience are needed and have to be believed, okay? This whole nothing about us without us is true. It is so true. And so as somebody who is both intelligent, but also, you know, has been diagnosed with a mental illness that I take care of myself for, there is absolutely no reason why I should be taken less seriously or demeaned because of that. So that would be my negative one. And Yolanda, do you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you, Barb, for sharing. I'll start with the harder one first. I used to be a child protective service worker, and I had to take my job. 2 of the moms on my caseload tested positive when they gave birth. And so I had to do a plan, but I ended up removing their newborn child from the hospital. So they never got to go home with their baby. So that was hard. And then the advocacy part, I have lots of examples, but I think the one that kind of comes to mind seems so basic, but it wasn't basic to the people I was working with. So when I was employed with Portland Police as a civilian background investigator. I did backgrounds on basically police officers and anybody who wanted to work for the police bureau, whether they were a contractor, sworn and non-sworn positions. And so one of the things that came up, and it obviously came up during my background, but at the time anyway, I found out later. So one of the things that had happened was on the background, my background investigator told me that at the time it was 10 references. You have to have 10 references. So he asked me to come up with 5 males and 5 females. And so I told him that I couldn't come up with 5 males. And so he didn't really understand why. And I just kind of explained culturally, like I didn't have close relationships with 5 separate men. And so my background investigator was a white male. And so he just I kind of had to explain the whole thing to him. And then like, it was kind of like, it felt like he gave me a pass, but he didn't really want to. And so it was just really interesting that like something so basic, like he didn't understand that I didn't have 5 male references. So that was advocating for myself. And then later on, I just advocated for tons of people of color and had to explain those cultural differences because the people that were making decisions didn't understand them. So thanks.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you. That must have been quite interesting. Okay, who would like to go next? Takers. Judith, how about you?
Hi, thank you. I think this is a great question, Amy. So and Mike Myers, it's great to see you. I'm really excited about you being in that position and that you're back in Portland. My job is as senior policy advisor for the Office of Equity and Human Rights. And so my job is to talk to people all day, every day about equity for people of color and people with disabilities, and mental health is included in that. And the best part are some of the really thoughtful conversations I get to have about what would the world look like if we all belonged. And I think that gives me a lot of hope and inspires me. The worst part, and we've been facing a lot of this lately, is, it's just there when I come up against resistance to seeing the world through anyone else's eyes, and then watching people say things in meetings with people especially people of color in the room, and they just, because I've listened for so long, like I'm talking decades, I know that it's so hurtful. So that is probably the worst part, is when I don't feel like I can do anything to, I do things after, but that the work hasn't protected sort of folks from encountering that in their workplace.
Thank you, Judith. Nathan, would you like to participate? It's optional, but I'm very curious.
Yeah, I can go quickly. I'll just talk briefly and just mention that I'm very, very new to being involved in this way in Portland. And so far, I can't really share any challenges because I haven't encountered any significant challenges yet, at least not in advocacy work. I'm really enjoying learning about this community, learning about the challenges that are faced, attending meetings like this one, reading through settlement agreements and case studies and all the rest, and thinking about how we address the challenges that are being faced. It's really cool and really awesome seeing that there are so many people engaged in the community and trying to make Portland work better for the people of Portland. That's one of the things I like most about the city and what motivates me to also participate. So yeah, that's all I'll say.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad you came to help us try to solve, like Mike said, a very long history of complicated avenues, but we'll get. That was a big major milestone. So next we'll be coordinating everything. Annika, would you like to go next? I'll repeat the questions. The first question was, what do you enjoy the most about your advocacy work, whether it's a single event or continually? I don't know what you do for work. And the other is, what do you find a challenge in the work you do or trying to accomplish?
Okay, yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anika Bent Albert. I'm currently Deputy City Attorney in the City Attorney's Office. However, in up until 2019, May 2019, I was working as Assistant Director for the Independent Police Review. And that was my first role with the city upon moving from New York City. So I would say, in terms of advocacy, what I enjoy most is really listening and learning, because that was my first go round when I first got here to Portland, was just learning about the community and how I could use that information about the needs and the experiences to guide my work in IPR. And that still, as I represent the city as an attorney, I use that information going forward. It's oftentimes tricky, but it is super interesting to me, and I enjoy listening to the sometimes the stories of people that show up in these meetings as well, and the different other meetings that have gone on during my time in the city. Challenging ones is that they are very challenging, and oftentimes what makes it challenging is I finding solutions. And I know that it oftentimes thank you.
Thank you. That was an incredible answer. Someone new seeing what all of us have been kind of looking at for a long time. Yeah. Solutions. It's all mixed up in law and policy. And
of life for myself. I ended up getting a scholarship to go to college to be on the debate team at Lewis and Clark. I ended up being pretty good at it, and ended up turning that into law school. And now I represent the United States in litigation and both defense and offense. And I recently was named the civil rights coordinator for the District of Oregon. So advocacy for me and being able to use my voice to persuade and advance interest and all the rest is really a keystone to my existence. It's opened up doors that I never would have dreamed possible. The challenge, for me has been, the 5 years I've been with the Department of Justice have been quite interesting. I've learned a lot. The challenge of politics is very difficult, and it's not one I had to deal with in private practice or, even going through high school and debate, high school and college debate. And so navigating those challenges has been tricky. And I can leave it at that. You can fill in the blanks, but thanks for including me.
That was an amazing story of survival and success, Jared. Thank you. What an inspiration. No joke. That's powerful. Yeah. So awesome. Well, I think now, Trudy, I know you don't have a microphone.
Oh, she was ready.
Oh, good. Yes, we're gonna, yes, Barb, hold on. Barb is gonna,
No, I said, do you want to read it?
yeah.
Okay.
Immediate family, and there has been brief homelessness with family members in the past. My advocacy role with Portland Cop Watch is to help review PBB directives, help write articles for our newsletter to supporters, meet with public officials about our issues with police, our concerns about sweeps. Oops, a little hard to scroll. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Where are we? Our interests in de-escalation practices, in particular in relation to houseless, as most of the arrests in any year involve houseless people. What I like, wherever we see progress and influence from our particular mental distress. The slowness of change is what is challenging and frustrating. Awesome. Thank you so much, because now we'll have it available to, keep. So, because this meeting is being recorded, because we want folks out in the community to have a chance to hear what we're doing and be part of it, even if they can't be here. So I think that completes everything for this subject matter. And if we end early tonight, thanks. And I need help finding officers who are willing to talk about what does a day in the life of a police officer look like? What have they seen? Kind of what some of the conversations we're having tonight, but I want your thoughts on what would be good questions to try to learn more about what police see and do during their daily lives as police officers. So that's going to be the next subject, is what questions you think would be important to ask so we can learn more about what people do during the day. During their day, whether it's day shift, night shift, swing shift, whatever. Weekends, weekdays, I'm sure it's all different. So would anyone like to start the conversation? Huh?
I said, pitch anything?
Come on, everybody. I know you're good at brainstorming.
Anne or Amy, I did want to share out, sorry, the last questions, but my computer kept freezing, so I was trying to, but also I'll just share really quickly. I would say that the thing I'm enjoying most about my advocacy work right now is that I have the privilege to be in spaces like this, where people from the community share their input on problems that are happening in the community. I feel very privileged to be in these type of spaces and hear people, even though I don't get to talk much. I'm always listening and taking in, so I'm very thankful for that. And then one of the biggest challenges I think is listening to situations that I have been affected by, from gun violence. One of my friends was killed by the Portland police, and I've heard his name come up in multiple meetings.
He was going with gun violence.
And then my brother
Connection problems.
Yes, I think she was going to say.
And so that is kind of hard to listen to when we talk in spaces about homelessness and the population in Portland. But other than that, thank you guys. And that's all I was going to share. So sorry if you guys can't hear me. My computer and Wi-Fi is not.
Are you back, Claudia?
Yeah, sorry. I hope you guys.
That's right. You were saying gun and we were guessing that the next word was violence.
Oh yes, I was saying that I have that's been the challenge, is that I have a friend that was killed by Portland police. So hearing his name come up in meetings has been challenging.
Wow. She lost it.
And then my brother is homeless. So when I hear you guys talk about the homeless community in Portland, that
Might
is
have to
challenging.
turn off the video to get audio.
Okay. Do that. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Is that a little better? It's okay. I don't have to share anymore. I'm having really bad connection problems. I hope you guys were able to hear me. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share. So thank you guys.
Thanks for sharing that, Claudia. I think a lot of us are touched by that you've had that experience.
Definitely. So
Thank
sorry.
you.
Okay, back. Are we gonna back to where we were? So, Chase, do you have any thoughts on what questions might be appropriate?
I agree that asking that question will probably spur a fair amount of discussion from each officer. A interesting question that might not come out unless you ask it, and some people may not be as comfortable sharing, but would be, how does what you see on a day-to-day basis affect you? Interesting feedback there. It's a side of, I think, our job that isn't ever shown, and generally we don't talk about it.
But that's going to need to happen in order for there to be trust.
Yeah, maybe we don't open up with that question, but a little further down.
No, I definitely like it. Can you maybe type it in chat so we can write it down, or can you repeat it real quick one more time? My secretary's taking notes.
Oh, just how does, I mean, I guess the simple way is, how does your job affect you?
Does it impact you to ask? That maybe you might want to know answers to.
Well, I think I just like where the direction that you're already heading. I mean, I think it's about getting the personal feeling from the police officer themselves on how they personally relate to these types of calls and incidents. And we lose that so often that you can have all the policy that you want and training that you want, but really when you're sitting, on the sidewalk next to somebody having a conversation, it really is a human to human contact, and your personality comes through, your compassion needs to come through, and it takes a special, I was a firefighter, so it always took a special firefighter to do that. It takes a special police officer to do that. Not all people are geared that way. And that's why I think behavioral health units are so important. It takes a special officer to be able to do the things police officers have to do, and then at the next call, show that compassion. And so I think those questions, if you ask 3 questions of each officer and you had, 3 or 4
Thank you. What would be appropriate so they would feel comfortable? Because I don't want anyone feeling like we're attacking them or, drilling them. I don't want the conversation to go that way. I want to, be human to human in this event.
Yeah, and I've always framed it this way with firefighters. When you hire a firefighter, I have to hire somebody that I'm going to be able to the officer, I think that will resonate with them deeply. They're not gonna, they're a hard bunch, but I think that'll touch on a point that, every one of them are loving and caring people. We just got to find that spot in that officer and get them to talk about it.
Excellent. Wow, that kind of, Judith, what do you think? Sounds pretty good, huh?
It sounds amazing. And if I might,
Almost 7:30. We don't have to stay till 8.
We need to find where we're gonna find cops.
And then, okay, one more question that is, who could help me round up maybe 2 officers from each precinct? That would be 6. Is that too many? Because I'd like to hear each of the different precincts, and because I'm sure they experience different things in the different areas of Portland. So how do we go about finding folks who are comfortable being on Zoom?
Yeah, well, as the only police officer here, I'm guessing you're talking to me.
Anyone
But
in the
we'd like
room.
to hear from you.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I can, so I think if you got at least a like downtown cop and then a cop or 2 from like a north or east. North and east are certainly different, but I think similar enough that it wouldn't be detrimental if you didn't have one from one of the precincts. I think 6 is going to be a lot.
Okay, 4?
I mean, I know you want to make connections with a bunch of people, but with these questions, I think I agree that'll take a long time. So I would
Okay,
think 4 would be adequate. You'll get, I think, what you would hope for. And I'm happy to help you recruit.
excellent.
You have Lieutenant.
To be there. I just didn't want to put you on the spot. I'm kind of trying to get a little deeper into like the daily lives of a beat officer, right? Somebody out there in the field. I don't know if you do that all day.
No, I'm stuck behind a desk about at least a day nowadays. So yeah, we want to find you a real cop.
Yeah, not a real cop, but out there,
Chase,
community.
did
Yep.
you turn your?
No.
So this is Barb. I was gonna say, I think we want a mix of ECIT officers and non-ECIT officers. And have them maybe explain that at some point. I don't know what you think of that. And yeah, I mean, do you want to be responsible for finding us 4 people, or do you want to be responsible? Do you want to just go out fishing and see what you get? Because we can also always do this same thing with different people on the panel another time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it will be easiest for you guys if I just find it between Casey and I, if we find you people, unless you don't want that. But I'm happy to work through that.
I do want it. I totally want it. I just don't want to put too much on you guys to do that.
We'll get it figured out.
May meeting, I think it's May 2nd, I think this time.
The first Tuesday.
Yeah, for this subcommittee, but the May meeting, correct? The 4th?
Yeah.
Yes.
The first Tuesday.
The first Tuesday for the Behavioral Health Subcommittee, meeting, we're going to have a panel. Yeah.
And then the other question, or the other part, was we wanted to give the officers the questions ahead of time. What do you all think
Time
of
to
that
think about it.
idea?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that'll help them come to with a well thought out answer that, instead of being on the spot trying to come up with how they feel in the moment.
Yeah, that's something that I always is close to my heart is when you're going to ask people questions, I prefer they have enough advance notice. They can really think about what, because not everybody's good at public speaking on the spot. So it's best. Yeah, we'll get to questions.
If we can do that, that sounds like a good way to go for the May meeting.
Yeah, the sooner, I'll do my best to find a variety of people, not just ECIT officers, and not just like one precinct. And then just the earlier, the better, because people might have to adjust their shifts and we got to figure all that out too. So the sooner we can get that figured out, if we need to cover their shift at the precinct.
People before we have the questions.
No, yeah, but I'm saying like maybe by the end of next week, can you make that happen?
What?
The times when people need to be here.
No, I just mean, let me know when you have the questions that I can send to the officers. I'll work on recruiting them. And,
Okay. I will. My plan is not to send them the day before or 2 days before, or you know, I'll get it together.
Okay.
By the end of the week. Yep. Next week. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get it done.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Yolanda, do you have anything on your heart that you'd like to talk about or bring up?
No, this idea came from Amy, and me and Barb are very supportive of it. And so the couple questions that I thought of were just like, I'm always interested in know how people balance everything. So how do you
And I just had a brainstorm as an idea. What do we think of sending 5 questions and asking them to answer 2 or 3? Or is that just too confusing?
I think we can just come up with the list and send it to them, and they can, generally people are more passionate about certain questions, so they can answer the ones that they're more passionate about. But just to take into consideration everybody that's on, and I don't want to overwhelm folks, so maybe we can put one of our emails so that everybody here that has questions that they want to submit, they can send them.
Can we send them to Claudia or Judith and PCCEP so it goes through the regular channels?
No. I'm putting my email in there.
Okay.
What was that, Barb?
She said she was going to put her email in there so it's easier because she doesn't have an Outlook account.
I'm putting Claudia's in too, so she can also, sorry, I have an alarm going off. I have no.
Pick 2 or 3, or are we going to narrow it down once everybody sends stuff in? Do you understand what my question is? Anybody? What were you?
I do. And maybe if people have suggestions that are here tonight that haven't made them, they could send them in within a week. And then if And then you all as the chairs of, the leader of the committee could, we can get together and narrow it down so that when we invite the police officers, we can tell them what the questions are.
Right, because we have a little less than 2 weeks and it'll be the end of the month again. So we gotta, I mean, this is Friday's the 9th.
It's okay, but a month is a month
And the following week is what, the 15th?
anyway.
Yeah, so we'll be good. We'll be good to go. And thank you so much, Amy, Barb, and Yolanda for putting the meeting together.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
thanks
going
for
to,
the people who came. And Nathan, welcome. I'm glad you're engaged in the community work here in Portland.
And I'm glad Mike Myers is here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.
yes.
Is there
And we,
having
anything
me.
else you want to say?
No,
Yeah,
thanks for
does
having me. We got a lot of work to do, and I'm looking forward to getting my part done. And I, like everyone said, we've done a lot of listening over the years. Now it's time to get to work. We have to get this work done. So
you want to put together a public work group committee by any chance?
no thanks, Amy.
Okay.
Well, my question to you long-term would be, how can this committee help and how can the PCCEP help?
Yeah, that's a great
So-
question.
Yeah, I mean,
How can we be of help
I'm
to
not
you?
putting, I don't mean to put you on
No.
the spot.
yeah, and I think I can come back with a really good framed response. I mean, the bottom line is, there's so many situations here, and I'll just look at it from a policing perspective on the ability to continue to have a sustainable police bureau, and when revenues are tight, we've got to be able to continue to have a police force going long term. And if you talk to individual police officers, they just can't handle the volume. It's too great. But they never should have handled that volume to begin with. Call volume just comes into 911, and we send police officers and fire facilities for rehabilitation or help out there, and not enough clinics, and so this is all the work that needs to be done. This isn't going to get better, but I would go all the way back to built environment and creating livable, vibrant neighborhoods. And so there's just a lot of work to be done. It is a city responsibility to do this. It is going to take a huge community input and a lot of patience, but we've got to start working on this stuff, and now's the time. So I'll be back and continue to listen and take some of your advice, or if I get things done, I'll let you know so we can applause or cheer or whatever, but because every step's going to count.
Well, Mike, on a final note, I'm going to recommend that you investigate the gains report that was done back in, I think, the early 2000s or mid 2000s. It was done by city, county, and it was a complete systemic evaluation of our community at the time. And it was quite fascinating what some of the outcome recommendations were that could be used today that were never brought forward. So it's called the Gains Project. I think it was 2010. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Okay, I will look it up.
Every single leader, from the judges, lawyers, attorneys, public, attended a 4-day event to learn about all the resources in our community and how they connected or didn't connect. Okay, it was amazing. But now it's all different. So it's good to look at the past, and then we need to learn about the CCOs, which I'm kind of an expert at. So I'll be more than happy to talk about it anytime. So on that note, thank you all for coming.
Stay on after everyone's gone.
Who?
Thank you.
And we'll let you go early.
Hey, Claudia,
Good night.
meeting for a little bit.
Barb, what was that?
I said, hey, Claudia, can you leave us in the meeting for a little bit?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
great.
that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Is it just you and me?
Good night.
No, it's gonna be.